So what are the qualities of top performers in the creative field that are not based on talent? Over the last few years, I've had the pleasure and honor of speaking with a lot of top performers in my field, which is composing for film and TV. People like Rob Duncan, Trevor Morris, Michael Dana, and Hans Zimmer. And in speaking to those gents and looking at a lot of careers of other top performers, I started to see patterns of certain types of behaviors, certain habits, and certain ways of thinking about the world and acting in it. I'm sure we all have aspirations of working at the very top of our game and becoming those kinds of professionals that other people look to with admiration. The top achievers, the top performers, the Oscar winners, the Emmy winners, that kind of stuff. But I think it's important to keep in mind, or to at least be aware of, the kind of qualities that these people have that are not based on talent, that help get them to where they are. And there's two reasons for that. The first reason is so that you can look to develop those things in yourself if you really want to get to that place, but also be really clear-minded about the kind of sacrifice and the kind of behaviors that are necessary in order to be at that kind of a level. Because here's the thing. If it was easy to be at that level, everyone would be doing it, everyone would be there. But they're not. It's actually a very small level of people that occupy that space. And while some of that may be due to things like nepotism and politics, I think to a large degree it's because the people that are performing at that level, like Olympic athletes, have certain qualities that the rest of us either do not have or don't pursue, or they're willing to do and sustain certain things that the rest of us may not be willing to do and sustain. So with that in mind, let's jump into some of the non-obvious and non-talent-based qualities of top-performing creative professionals. So number one would definitely be the idea of obsession. And I'm using the word obsession versus passion very specifically, because passion to me is loving what you do. And being very interested in what you do and wanting to do it all the time out of a desire and out of a pleasure-based kind of way of operating. Whereas for me, obsession is almost like it's a discomfort. It's an unhappiness. It's something where if you're not pursuing or achieving at the highest level that thing which you set out to do, you're dissatisfied. With that obsession also usually is accompanied some sort of obsessive belief or vision about the future. This obsession includes either a belief in themselves and their talent, like I deserve this, which a lot of us struggle with, right? We have imposter syndrome, or we don't have a clear vision about where we're going or a clear vision of what the future looks like. This is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm going to be doing, and there is no other thing that is going to exist in that space. They have really clearly defined their goals, where they're going to, what they want to achieve. And that kind of belief and vision becomes an obsessive quality that drives them towards achieving these things and being completely dissatisfied until they get them. Now, the one big thing about this is that obsession can be both positive and negative. An obsession makes you laser focused about what you're doing, and you're going to get rid of a lot of that noise and distraction. And that is most of the time, I think, a very positive thing. But the other very common thing that happens with a lot of high performers is that they're so obsessed that a lot of other parts of life, their social life, maybe their family life, their health, gets ignored or gets put to the side because that's not moving the needle forward. Now, I think in this day and age, people are seeing the need for balance a little more, and people are trying to be more balanced about what they're doing. But if you follow a lot of the high achievers and the idea behind like hashtag hustle and all this online, you certainly see that there's still a big contingent of people who believe that you need to shut out anything that doesn't line up with your goals and what you're doing on a daily basis. So that's something to really think about very carefully. How much of an impact are your goals going to have, and how much of a sacrifice are you going to be willing to make in those areas? And I think you have to really work that into what you're doing so that you don't accidentally wake up 10 years down the road with some version of success you wanted, but realizing that there's a huge amount of sacrifice and destruction in the wake of that success that you may not have been willing or really wanted to or even thought about having to sacrifice. Number two is persistence. And that may come out of that feeling of obsession, of course, because if you're obsessed, you're going to be more persistent. But essentially, it's this idea that no matter what happens, you're just going to keep going forward. They may have their moments of doubt. They may have their down times or their feelings where they feel like they're not going to get what they want. But that doesn't stop them. that doesn't mean that they're going to give up on their goal. No matter what happens, no matter how things turn, they're just continuing doggedly down the path towards the thing that they see and the goals that they have set, and that's it. Nothing changes that. And I think that kind of persistence is unique. I mean, you can develop it, or you can decide that this is just the thing you're going after and never deviate from that path. But I think for a lot of us, and I think it's almost hardwired into the human DNA, is to look for opportunities when they arise and to see things like, oh, here's an easier way out. You know, you imagine our hunter and gatherer forebears who were out in the savannah. And if they had an idea about where their next source of food was going to be, but they came upon something that was equal or even better than the idea that they had before, they would certainly say, well, this looks like a great place to settle down for a while, and let's do that. It's a hard pull to resist if you're on that path. Things are hard, things are difficult, everything looks like it's just falling apart, and you're finding it hard to see those wins in your daily activities, and to be distracted and pulled away from that vision would be very easy. With the high performers, they've gotten to where they've gotten by persistently doing the same thing for decades. And that's part of why they are where they are. The third thing is a high tolerance for pain. These high performers know how to deal with difficulty. They know how to sustain discomfort and live in it and even use it to fuel what they're doing. They might have a completely different outlook on what pain looks like and go, good, something else went wrong, or this discomfort or stress, these things are actually driving me. If something goes wrong, something happens in their life that makes them feel upset or fearful, it doesn't affect them in the way that they're going to go, oh God, maybe I should take my foot off the gas. No, it's the opposite. They say, now more than ever, I have to double down on my efforts and keep going towards that thing. And these things that are going wrong make me even more obsessed about getting towards that goal. Basically, they're willing to do what it takes to make it. And that is a big thing, again, because that does not come without sacrifice. If you want to be at the level that some of these people are at, you have to understand the kind of sacrifice that needs to be made in order to do that. It might be a complete sacrifice of your social schedule. It might be sacrifice of family and health. In order to work in a world or in a certain type of paradigm, let's say, for instance, the top level of Hollywood, where the demands are such that there's no way around you're having to work incredible hours and sacrifice a lot of time and energy in order to get certain things done within expectations. Are you willing to do what it takes to get to where you want to go? And I think you have to be really honest with yourself, because it's not a bad thing to say, you know what, I'm actually not willing to do that. I'm not willing to sacrifice my family life. I'm not willing to sacrifice every free moment and to never enjoy some downtime to myself and to explore the things, or to learn, or to read, or to, have enjoyable experiences, or go on a vacation. Maybe those things, you want a more balanced life, but that is balance, right? That means you can't have everything. You can't work 24 hours solid towards your goal and be a high achiever and have everything else that goes along with the life that you desire. There's going to be a balancing out effect. So what you have to be willing to accept is that if you want balance, that means everything else gets balanced out. It's a math equation. There's no other way around it. And that may be a really good thing. Of course, when you think about the kind of work and life stresses and the demands that are put on high professionals, entrepreneur and business owner, someone like Elon Musk, to Olympic athletes, to high-performing creative people at the top of their game. These are very high stress, high intensity, pressurized environments that these people are working in. And their ability to tolerate a lot more pain than probably most of us is one of the reasons that allows them to keep showing up to work, to keep doing what it takes to get the job done, and to continue waking up the next day and wanting, because of their obsession and their persistence, to continue doing it. Okay, so that's it. Those are my 3 observations, my 3 non-obvious, non-talent-based qualities of top creative professionals and high performers. I hope that you take a look at these and really consider them in terms of where you're at. Maybe it's something where, yes, you know what, I do have that feeling. I want to be a top level performer. That's where I want to be. And then you can use those 3 things and really amp it up so that you can get to where you want to go. On the other hand, and maybe in a blend of that, you want to see, well, I want to get to a certain point, but also these other things are very important to me, and I'm not willing to sacrifice. I think that's a part of goal setting and a part of sort of envisioning the life you want to have. It's not just about your career. It's not just about those achievements. It's not about those high-level goals that are attached to some vision that you see where only your career is represented. You have sort of a skewed way of looking at that these days. You want to have a holistic view where everything is accounted for. What are all the aspects of your life that you want to see be successful? your family life, your personal life, your education, time to yourself, travel, reading, like learning about new things and experiencing life. All of these things are valuable in their own way. And you need to be able to look at that and balance all these things out. So when you look at someone that is a high performer, you want to gauge that against yourself and go, where do I fit in? What do I want to do? What am I willing to sacrifice? And what are my inherent sort of qualities that I can sustain a high level of pain and discomfort? Do I have that kind of persistence, or can I develop that? Do I have an obsession that just won't let me be, and year after year it's still there, making me doggedly go after the goals that I have? As always, it's something to consider. You have to balance all the factors out and, figure out what it is for you that you want to see in your life and how all these things sort of fit together. Hope this is helpful, and leave me some comments down below. What are your thoughts on this? Where do you see yourself in this spectrum? What are you working to gain more of? And how do you sort of, look at all these different things in tandem and figure, well, this is where I want to end up. Thanks again for watching, and give me a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys in the next one.